Very, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, the parade conducting warrant officer Idiare TS, is dressing the parade. He has been in charge of the parade so far. The parade conducting warrant officer has just concluded dressing the parade. Please permit me to give you an abridged version of his resume. Warrant officer Idiare TBAB Stanley is a conducting warrant officer for today's ceremonial parade. He was born on the 7th of December 1983 into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Isaac Idiare from Arugbo in Eseodo local government area of Ondo State. He attended Ikeja Primary School and Community Comprehensive Secondary School by Elsa State. He was enlisted into the Nigerian Air Force on the 29th of August 2005. He holds a higher national diploma in journalism and postgraduate diploma in advertising and public relations from the International Institute of Journalism, Abuja. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in crime management and a Master of Arts degree in conflict, peace, and strategic studies from Kaduna State University. Warrant Officer Idiare is married with 2 children. His hobbies are singing, motivating people, and writing news stories. Any moment from now, the conducting warrant officer will be handing over the parade to the parade second in command. Please permit me at this time to quickly acknowledge the presence in our midst of some dignitaries that are here to grace today's occasion. We have in our midst former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Marshal A.M. Dagash. You're welcome, sir. We have also the privilege of gracing this occasion the Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Lamido Sanusi Lamido. You're welcome, Your Royal Highness. Very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, the officers who will be taking charge of the various guards in today's parade are marching on to take post. They would constitute the guard and sub-guard commanders for today's parade. I now hand you over to my colleague, Squadron Leader Reginald Ebere Obiabasi, for further commentaries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. What we are witnessing now is the guards and sub-guard commanders who have taken post about to march on parade. The officers in charge of the 6 guards are now in front of their respective distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Any moment from now, the conducting warrant officer will march forward and give the conducting warrant officer will march forward and submit the state of the parade to the parade second in command. The conducting warrant officer is marching smartly to submit the state of the parade to the parade second in command. Having handed over the parade to the parade second in command, the conducting warrant officer is now proceeding to take his position behind the number 1 guard. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade second in command is Flight Lieutenant Issa Ibrahim. Please permit me to give you an abridged resume of Flight Lieutenant Ibrahim. Flight Lieutenant Issa Ibrahim was born on 27th September 1986 into the family of Alhaji and Alhaja Ibrahim. From Chanchaga local government area of Niger State, he attended Garrison Army Children Primary School and Government Secondary School, all in Minna. He gained admission into Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics. He is a registered member of Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria and member Nigerian Institute of Management. He was enlisted into the Nigerian Air Force as member of Direct Regular Course 19 and was commissioned flying officer on 6th April 2011. Flight Lieutenant Ibrahim is married and the union is blessed with 2 boys. His hobbies are traveling, reading, jogging, and watching movies. The parade 2IC now is in charge of the parade. It is his responsibility to march on the guards and sub-guard commanders. Senior officers, distinguished invited guests, what you are witnessing now is the parade the guards and sub-guard commanders marching on parade to take their positions in front of their respective guards. Senior officers, distinguished invited guests, the officers in charge of the seized guards are now in front of their respective guards. The parade awaits the arrival of the parade commander. May I now hand over to Group Captain E.R. Bassi to continue the proceedings. Group Captain Bassi, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Squadron Leader Obio Bassi. Any moment from now, the parade commander for today's ceremonial parade would be taking over from the parade second in command, who is now marching smartly to report the state of the parade and thereafter resume his position accordingly. Senior military officer serving unretired, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade second in command, Flight Lieutenant I. Ibrahim, has just handed over the parade to the parade commander. The parade commander for today's ceremonial parade is Squadron Leader M.B. Salisu. Please permit me to give you an abridged version of his resume. Squadron Leader Muhammad Bedlo Salisu was born on the 20th of November 1980 into the family of Hajia Alhaji and Hajia Musa Salisu from Raba local government area of Sokoto State. He attended the community primary school Imota, Ikorodu in Lagos State, and Lagos State Model College Ikorodu, also in Lagos State. He gained admission into the Nigerian Army School of Finance and Administration at Apapa, Lagos, where he obtained a higher national diploma in accounting. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in education from the National Teachers Institute, Kaduna. Squadron Leader M.B. Salisu is a member of the Direct Regular Course 18 and was commissioned flying officer on the 27th of March 2010. He has held several appointments and attended several courses. He is a member of some professional institutions, including Nigerian Institute of Management. Squadron Leader Salisu is happily married to Barrister Nafisa, and the union is blessed with a boy. His hobbies are watching football, reading adventure books, and visiting friends. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I crave your indulgence to acknowledge the presence in our midst of the Emir of Bauchi, in person of Dr. Rilwanu Suleiman Adamu. You're welcome, Your Royal Highness. Also in our midst, we have the Aweke One, Ovie of Umuyahawa, of Abraka Kingdom, Air Vice Marshal Elo Ararile, retired. Any moment from now, the parade commander will be marching on the colors. The colors remain very important regimental symbols in the armed forces and are accordingly accorded some respect. May I request that when the colors are marched on parade, we're all expected to rise. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute. Thank you.
Chers officiers, messieurs et madame, dans un instant, les drapeaux feront les marches. Puis-je donc demander que nous nous levions tous, les officiers en service et les sous-officiers en uniforme doivent se lever et saluer le drapeau. Merci.
May I request we rise for the colors? Please rise for the colors. Serving officers in uniform and warrant officers are to please salute. Distinguished guests, you may please be seated. Your Royal Highnesses, my Lord, spiritual and temporal, very senior military officers serving and retired, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, with the arrival of the Kalos, we now have the full complement of a standard military parade. While we await the arrival of all the guests and the reviewing officer for today's ceremonial parade, please permit me to give you an insight into the origin of Kalos. Kalos have a long-standing tradition which dates back to the early wars. In the days of cavalries and foot soldiers, banners representing Kalos were often paraded on battlefields. The capture of these banners invariably meant an outright defeat to the losing side. Although colors are no longer carried in modern battles, they are still accorded the same respect and protection they enjoyed in the past. It is for this reason that colors are saluted whenever they file past. In the United Kingdom, from where we adopted some of our regimental practices, the British Infantry Regiment generally carried two colors on parade, the Queen's color and the regimental color. In tandem with this age-long tradition, we have 8 colors on parade this morning. These are the national color, the Nigerian Air Force color, and the colors for the 6 operational commands of the Nigerian Air Force, which are the Tactical Air Command, the Special Operations Command, Mobility Command, Air Training Command, the Ground Training Command, and the Logistics Command. It is of interest to note that the Nigerian Air Force was presented the Nigerian national color, the regimental color, and its organizational color on the 1st of November 1976. Subsequently, the Tactical Air Command got its colors on the 2nd of November 1982, while the Logistics Command and the Mobility Command got theirs on the 27th of April 1985 and 1st of October 2011 respectively. The Special Operations Command was handed its color in April 2017. Senior officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, the SWAL Training Command was recently unbundled into Air Training Command and Ground Training Command respectively. These new commands were presented their colors in May 2018 during the 54th anniversary celebration of the Nigerian Air Force. May I humbly recognize the presence in our midst of the former Chief of the Air Staff, Brigadier General Ec135 retired. You're welcome, sir. Your Royal Highnesses, Very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of the chief host for today's ceremony, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Distinguished Flying Star. That's fanfare heralded the arrival of the chief host for today's ceremony, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Distinguished Flying Star. You're welcome, sir. And I'll hand you over to my colleague, Squadron Leader Obiabasi, for the continuation of commentary.
Thank you very much, sir. The Chief of the Air Staff, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce and recognize the arrival of former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal P. Dike, retired. You are welcome, sir. Also recognizing the presence of former Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal J.D. Wiyeb. You are welcome, sir. May I also recognize the presence of the National President, Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, Hajia Hafsat Sadiq Abubakar. You are welcome, ma'am. the Chief of the Air Staff, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, may I announce the arrival of the service chiefs and their representatives, and the Inspector General of Police. That fanfare heralded the arrival of the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukuru Yusuf Buratai, the Chief of Naval Staff, represented by Rear Admiral Titi Dakwat, and the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu. You're all welcome, sir. May I request the band to give us an interlude of music? Thank you very much, band. Service chiefs, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I announce the arrival of the Chief of the Defense Staff. That fanfare heralded the arrival of Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Oloninshaki. You're welcome, sir. May I now hand over to Group Captain E.R. Bassi to continue the proceedings.
Thank you, Squadron Leader Obiabasi. The Chief of Defense Staff, Service Chiefs, the Chief of the Air Staff, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to recognize the presence in our midst of a former Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Nsikak Essien Edward, retired. You're welcome, sir. We also have in our midst the former Chief of the Air Staff and former Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal O.O. Kpetinrin, retired. You're welcome, sir. May I crave your indulgence at this time to give a little historical background of the Nigerian Air Force. The idea of establishing an Air Force for Nigeria was first mooted in 1961 following the nation's participation in peacekeeping operations in Congo and Tanganyika, now Tanzania. During these peacekeeping operations, foreign Air Force's aircraft were employed to airlift the Nigerian Army Regiment to and from the theaters of operation. The Nigerian government at the time, no doubt, recognized the urgent need to establish an air force actively supported by modern facilities to provide full complement of forces to enhance the nation's military posture. Early in 1962, the government agreed in principle that the Nigerian Air Force be established. The Nigerian Parliament therefore approved the establishment of the Nigerian Air Force, and recruitment of cadets commenced in June 1962. Consequently, the Nigerian Air Force was officially established by a statutory Act of Parliament in April 1964 to serve four main purposes. And these are, first, to achieve a full complement of the Nigerian military defense system of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, both in the air and on the ground. Next was to ensure a fast, versatile mobility of the armed forces. Next was to provide close support for the ground-based and seaborne forces in all phases of operation, and to ensure the territorial integrity of a united Nigeria. And lastly, to give the country the deserved prestige that is invaluable in international matters. The first batch of 10 cadets was enlisted in 1962 to undergo training with the Ethiopian Air Force. The second set of 16 cadets were enlisted in February 1963 to undergo training with the Royal Canadian Air Force, while 6 cadets were sent to the Indian Air Force. The stage was thus becoming set for the in-country training of Nigerian Air Force personnel. Consequently, several countries were approached, but the lot fell on the German Air Force to provide technical assistance for the local training of Nigerian Air Force personnel, and this materialized in 1963. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to acknowledge the presence in our midst of the Chairman House Committee on the Air Force, Honorable Samson Oku, and his counterparts. We also have in our midst the Chairman Senate Committee on the Air Force in person of distinguished Senator Duro Fasheyi. You are welcome, sir. In continuation with the history of the Nigerian Air Force, while the Nigerian Air Force was still in its infancy as a fighting force, the laudable plans made by the German Air Force Assistance Group were prematurely put to test barely 3 years after its establishment. The relatively inexperienced Nigerian Air Force assumed the role of a well-established air force in order to prosecute the Nigerian Civil War in close collaboration with sister services. At this stage of its existence, the Nigerian Air Force was only equipped with a few aircraft. As the war progressed, some fighter aircraft such as the MiG-15 and the MiG-17 were acquired to help bring the war to a speedy end. The Nigerian Civil War came to an end in 1970, and there was a need to reorganize the service and upgrade its equipment. In order to strengthen itself, the Nigerian Air Force acquired additional aircraft types, advanced technology between 1981 and 1990. With the acquisition of new weapon platforms, there was a need to train personnel to man and maintain the new aircraft types. This led to the reorganization of training in all aspects of Nigerian Air Force specialties. May I once again request the mass band to provide an interlude of music as we await further arrivals. The mass band. Thank you, the mass band. Thank you, the mass band. The Chief of Defense Staff, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to highlight that the incumbent Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, upon his assumption of duty as the 20th Chief of the Air Staff, articulated his vision. And his vision is to reposition the Nigerian Air Force into a highly professional and disciplined force through capacity building initiative for effective, efficient, and timely employment of air power in response to Nigeria's national security imperatives. The Chief of the Air Staff vision is pivoted by 6 key drivers. May I request my colleague, Group Captain Aileru, to give a French version of this position.
Le chef d'état-major des forces armées, chers officiers, messieurs, mesdames, les 6 clés. Développement des capacités humaines grâce à une formation solide et axée sur les résultats pour améliorer les performances professionnelles, une culture de soutien logistique et de maintenance robuste permettant de maintenir la disponibilité des plateformes et des équipements. Le 3, renforcer une culture de confiance en soi et de gestion prudente des ressources. 4, partenariat stratégique avec les MDA pour améliorer la recherche et le développement. 5, promouvoir et inclure les valeurs fondamentales d'intégrité, d'excellence et de prestation de services. 6, accent mis sur la camaraderie, la réglementation et la coopération interservices. La vision du chef d'état-major de l'armée de l'air est de repositionner la NAF en une force hautement professionnelle et disciplinée par le biais d'initiatives de renforcement des capacités pour un emploi efficace et rapide de la puissance aérienne en réponse aux impératifs de sécurité nationale du Nigeria. Merci.
Merci. The Chief of Defense Staff, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I acknowledge to this August gathering that the federal government of Nigeria, under the able leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, has been very magnanimous and supportive of the Nigerian Air Force. Some of the landmark support given to the Air Force has been the recent approval of funds for the distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mansour Mohammed Dang Ali. The fanfare Cavalry Brigade rendered a while ago heralded the arrival of the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mansour Mohammed Dang Ali. You're welcome, sir. While we await the arrival of other dignitaries that will grace today's occasion, please permit me to give you an insight into some of the landmark achievements of the current incoming leadership of the Nigerian Air Force. Following the appointment of Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar in July 2015 by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, the narrative of the Nigerian Air Force has continued to change positively, particularly as the administration focused on securing the country and making it more conducive for citizens to go about their daily activities without any form of fear. Since the commencement of his administration, the Nigerian Air Force has recorded landmark achievements in acquisition of new aircraft and rehabilitation of existing ones, expansion of Nigerian Air Force structures, training and capacity building, and improvement of welfare activities. Other areas are construction of modern facilities to enhance training and operations, research and development breakthroughs, decimation of the Boko Haram terrorists and banditry, improvement of civil-military relations, and barrack youths empowerment through agriculture programs. Some of the new platforms acquired include 10 Super Mushak aircraft acquired from Pakistan, 4 new Mi-35M helicopter gunships delivered to Nigeria from the Russian Federation, 2 Diamond 40 aircraft, 2 Bell 412 helicopters, and other platforms. To give impact to some of these landmark achievements, may I crave your indulgence to please watch a documentary on the Nigerian Air Force with the theme Attaining Heights. Happy viewing. May I once again request the mass band to provide an interlude of music. The mass band. Thank you, band. Thank you, the mass band. Thank you, the mass band. We indeed apologize for the technical hitch experienced a while ago. I crave your indulgence to please continue your watch at the documentary on the Nigerian Air Force. Thank you.
In April 1964, the Nigerian Air Force was established by an act of parliament to achieve a full complement to the defense structure of Nigeria.
I'm one of the pioneer pilots that was recruited into the Nigerian Air Force way back in 1962.
I was part of the pioneer people who came into Kaduna in 63 to start the Air Force.
It has since evolved under the leadership of 19 different foreign and indigenous service chiefs who have each made invaluable contributions to ensure that the service becomes, as it is today, a professional fighting force that is well respected both at home and abroad. To these our great forebears, we say a very big thank you on the occasion of 55 years anniversary. Today, the Nigerian Air Force
the Honorable Minister of Defense, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for want of time, we will defer this documentary, which will come up later in the course of proceedings. Please permit me to add that as part of the landmark achievements of the incumbent leadership of the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Air Force in the last 4 years has invested greatly in research and development so as to develop unprecedented capacity to surmount current and emerging security challenges. Millions of foreign exchange have been saved through these various innovations. Some of the R&D breakthroughs include the induction of the first Nigerian Air Force indigenous operational unmanned aerial vehicle named the Segumi by Mr. President, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari. recipient of the patent rights for the production of the unmanned ground vehicle and production of the hydraulic accumulator diaphragm for the Mi-35 helicopters also has been achieved. Others are reactivation and weaponization of the Mi-17 helicopter, the Ec135 helicopter, the Alpha jets, and the L-39ZA trainer aircraft. Design and production of a test bench for the Alpha jet anti-skid system, local production of 30.1 mm rockets, development of a universal test bench for small aircraft starter and alternator systems. Also, we have the local production of heat shield protective cones and local production of aviation power pack. May I respectfully recognize the presence in our midst of General Maina, who is representing the Senate President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Dr. Bukola Saraki. You are welcome, sir. May I once again request the mass band to provide an interlude of music as we await the arrival of the special guest of honor for today's occasion, the band. Thank you, the band. Thank you, the mass band. Members of the National Assembly here present, Honorable Minister of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Any moment from now, the special guest of honor for today's occasion and reviewing officer will be arriving, and I request we give him the expected honor. Upon the arrival of the special guest of honor, the national anthem will be rendered. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are expected to salute. Thank you. Announcing the arrival of the special guest of honor and reviewing officer for today's ceremonial parade, marking the 55th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. The President, Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, ably represented by the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Senior Advocates of Nigeria. His Excellency is being ushered in by the Nigerian Air Force Pipe Band, which is a very recent innovation and achievement of the incumbent leadership of the Nigerian Air Force. The Nigerian Air Force Pipe Band gloriously leading the motorcade of His Excellency as he arrives for this very auspicious occasion, the ceremonial parade marking the 55th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. May I request we please rise to honor His Excellency. Thank you. His Excellency has just concluded the sharing of pleasantries with other dignitaries and is approaching the saluting dais to receive his compliment. Distinguished guests, you may please be seated. May I request the cameraman to please clear the front edge of the saluting dice, please. The parade commander, Squadron Leader MB Salisu, is now marching forward to report the state of the parade and thereafter invites His Excellency to inspect the parade. The parade commander has just reported the state of the parade and has invited His Excellency, the Special Guest of Honor and Reviewing Officer for today's parade, to inspect the parade. It is customary for the Reviewing Officer to inspect the guards before the commencement of a parade of this nature. The inspection is done to confirm the loyalty of the troops to their commander-in-chief and their readiness to undertake the course in fulfilling their constitutional role of safeguarding and defending the territorial integrity of the nation. The reviewing officer, sir. The parade today comprises 6 guards representing the 6 operational commands of the Nigerian Air Force. We have also on parade the color party and of course the mass band comprising bandsmen and women of the Nigerian Air Force. Leading the motorcade, bearing His Excellency, are 2 stick orderlies. They are Aircraftman Ibrahim Abdulakim and aircraft woman Ganiyu Sekirat Omotola. The driver of the motorcade is Sergeant Akbalowo, SF. Your Excellency, the reviewing officer, please permit me to introduce you to the guard and sub-guard commanders for today's parade. For number 1, the parade commander, of course, is Squadron Leader MB Salisu. Number 1 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant I. Ibrahim, while the sub-guard commanders are Flying Officers Y.M. Ibrahim and J.O. Ede. 2 guard commanded by Flight Lieutenant S.A. Aziz, assisted by Flying Officers E.I. Achibong and A.J. Itoya. Number 3 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant I. Sini, while Flying Officers S.O. Tijani and U.M. Efioete are the sub-guard commanders. The ensign to the national color and the commander of the color party is Flight Lieutenant G. Wampana, and we have ensigns to other colors And these include Flight Lieutenant E.I. Oriala, Flight Lieutenant E.S. Owanaro, Flight Lieutenant A.O. Balogun, Flight Lieutenant O.G. Chibo, Flight Lieutenant E.J. Echoga, Flight Lieutenant M.U. Goni, and Flight Lieutenant O.G. Richards, bearing the 6 command colors. Number 4 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant K.T. Daoke, assisted by Flying Officers E.E. Osim and A.A. Sabo. Number 5 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant Y.P. Wukanga. Assisting him are Flying Officers U. Amanokai and M. Anyekebe as sub-guard commanders. Number 6 guard is commanded by Flight Lieutenant D.U. Unoigbe, while Flying Officers M. Dabo and H. O. Mohammed are the sub-guard commanders. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the reviewing officer has just concluded the inspection of the front edge of the parade and is now proceeding to inspect the rear edge of the parade. Behind the guards are guard staff sergeant majors. For 6 guard, we have Flight Sergeant CDM as the Flight Sergeant Major. 5 guard Flight Sergeant I. Ismail. 4 guard Sergeant Wereblia ZE. The parade RSM, who is right behind the color party, is Master Warrant Officer Samuel Daniel. Your Excellencies, the Flight Sergeant Major for 3 guard is Flight Sergeant Oja J.O. The Sergeant Major for 2 guard is Flight Sergeant Owo Vorene A.E. The Flight Sergeant Major for number 1 guard is Warrant Officer Idiare Stanley, who also doubled as the conducting warrant officer for today's ceremonial parade. The reviewing officer is about concluding the inspection of the guards and will be proceeding to inspect the mass band. Very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the band providing music for today's ceremonial parade is the mass band of the Nigerian Air Force, comprising band personnel from the various command bands, as well as the 053 Headquarters Nigerian Air Force Camp Band. The band is commanded by Flight Lieutenant A.O. Ono, and he is assisted by Flight Lieutenant A.A. Olodude. His Excellency has just concluded the inspection of the mass band, and from the smile on his face, he seems to say, I am pleased with what I have seen so far. The motorcade is now returning to the saluting dice, preparatory for other segments of today's parade. The reviewing officer, having highlighted from the motorcade, is now returning to the saluting dice, and the parade commander, in no distant time, will obtain permission to carry on with the rest of the parade. Having obtained permission from His Excellency, the reviewing officer, the parade commander is now marching smartly back to conduct the main body of the parade for the march past in slow and quick time. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander has ordered the ensigns to take post, as well as the guard commanders and the sub-guard commanders, preparatory to the march past in slow and quick time. And the parade has commenced in earnest. The guards are now marching forward in slow time first. They will form squad in order to welcome the reviewing officer and thank him for finding time to grace the Nigerian Air Force at 55 ceremonial parade. Your Excellency, the Special Guest of Honor and Reviewing Officer, the parade, as earlier mentioned, comprises 6 guards representing the 6 commands of the Nigerian Air Force. The commands are the operational commands, the Tactical Air Command, the Special Operations Command, the Mobility Command, the Air Training Command, the Ground Training Command, and of course the Logistics Command. What you are observing right now is the color party changing its axis of advance in a stylish but very highly regimental manner. It might interest this August gathering to note that the color is forbidden to carry out automatic turnabouts, and that informs why the ensigns to the color and the escorts take their time to stylishly wheel into lines according to the flank desired. The reviewing officer, sir, may I humbly crave your indulgence to recognize the presence in our midst of His Royal Highness Oba Enitan Ogunwusi, the Oni of Ife. You are welcome, Your Royal Highness. Watching a parade of this nature creates a sense of nostalgia, especially to our veterans whom, when they were in service, took part in parades of this nature. And with the beautiful march tunes played by the band, brings to all of us a sense of joy, a sense of commitment, a sense of pride, a sense of national pride, and desire to continue to serve our fatherland in the defense of its territorial integrity. And the guards are retiring to their initial position, and they'll be wheeling any moment from now to face the axis of advance, beginning with the color party. As you can see, the color party has commenced its right form process. The reviewing officer, sir. Permit me to highlight that on parade we have 27 commissioned officers and 315 airmen, airwomen on parade. Any moment from now, the parade would commence the march past in earnest. Once the main body finally turns, and here the parade commences, march past in slow time. Permit me to also highlight that today's occasion is in 3 segments. The first segment, the march past in slow and quick time, which is ongoing. We will thereafter have a display by the Nigerian Air Force Canine units, as well as the Special Forces demonstration. At the end of the second segment, His Excellency will be invited to induct the newly acquired Augusta 109P helicopters. Approaching the saluting dice from the left end of the commentary box is the mass band of the Nigerian Air Force, providing the march for the troops taking part in today's parade. The lead drum major is Corporal Christiana Ibrahim. The second drum major is Corporal Demawati. Leading the band as band commander is Flight Lieutenant A.O. Ono, assisted by Flight Lieutenant A.A. Olodude. The mass band is made up of 2 officers and 100 bandsmen and women. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in line with the honors accorded colors when they march on, may I crave the indulgence of our very important guest that when the colors file past your respective locations, you are please expected to rise and pay appropriate compliment to the colors. The serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are to please salute and thereafter take their seats. Thank you.
Chers officiers et sous-officiers, s'il vous plaît, veuillez vous lever dès que le drapeau passe devant. Merci.
And that is the number one guard, paying the traditional compliment to the reviewing officer with the eyes right. To guard with the eyes right. And here comes number 3 guard. Here comes the color party. It is a very graceful and colorful appeal. As we can see, the various guards and that is number 6 guard paying the traditional compliment to the reviewing officer with the eyes right. Commanding number 6 guard is a female combatant Nigerian Air Force officer, Flight Lieutenant D.O. Onuigbe. The reviewing officers are distinguished invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, the guards are marching majestically and gracefully along the lines, having wheeled gradually to the left. They are now advancing through the initial axis of advance. May I highlight once again that this parade is one of the series of activities marking the year 2019 Nigerian Air Force Day celebration, which is the anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. The activities are lined up, some of which have been concluded, have been the medical outreach organized by the Nigerian Air Force for the benefit of host communities where Nigerian Air Force bases are located. And several thousands of residents in these neighboring areas have received various forms of medical attention. Jumat services were also held on the 26th of April to mark the anniversary celebration across mosques in the Nigerian Air Force. And just yesterday, 28th of April, there were interdenominational church services held across Nigerian Air Force churches to commemorate the 55th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, any moment from now, the parade will be transiting from slow time to quick time. It promises to be a very interesting spectacle. I urge you to watch. And there they go. A round of applause, please, for the guards for a very wonderful transition. The very coordinated brilliance and acting in one body by the troops confirms that the military is a disciplined entity. And the Nigerian Air Force in particular believes in excellence always. And that is why you are witnessing the high pedigree of today's parade. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again may I remind us that as the colors fly past our locations, we are expected to rise and pay appropriate respect to the colors. Serving officers and warrant officers in uniform are expected to salute. Thank you. And here they come, this time in quick march. Leading on is the parade commander, Squadron MB Salisu, number 1 guard commander. Flight Lieutenant R. Ibrahim, with the eyes right, the traditional compliment to His Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by Mr. Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And of course, we can see the mass band countermarching at this axis, retiring to further countermarch and take their position at the center rear edge of the parade ground. And of course, the various guards being led by their respective guard and sub-guard commanders are also marching gracefully and wheeling appropriately into line as the parade progresses. Your Excellencies, as you can see, the guards are having wheeled to the forward flank, will now wheel into line facing their axis of advance. And they are now marking time with the special music for this session of the parade, drill school. The troops will be halting in turns. I crave your indulgence to watch with keen interest. Number 1 guard. 2 guard. 3 guard. Color party. 4 guard. 5 guard. A round of applause for a wonderful show of unity and excellence. Number 6 guard. I know our women folk are indeed impressed. May I humbly request the Chief of the Air Staff to kindly request the reviewing officer and guest of honor to return to his seat for a moment. The Chief of the Air Staff, sir. The special guest of honor and reviewing officer, Your Excellencies, very distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander is now dressing the guard preparatory to the demonstrations that we are going to watch in a very short while. And the parade commander, the guard commanders and sub-guard commanders are now retiring to the rear of the parade to allow for the silent drill demonstration. Permit me, Your Excellencies, to give you a brief history of silent drill. The United States Marine Corps Silent Drill Platoon is a 24-man rifle platoon of the United States Marine Corps, often referred to as the Marching 24. The drill was first performed in the year 1948, originally known as a one-time show. It received such an overwhelming response that it soon became part of the routine parades at Marine Barracks in Washington, D.C. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today we have the members of the Nigerian Air Force Silent Drill Team who will be marching out any moment from now to perform various commands. They are marching in smaller groups from the various guards to form the Squad 64, where each member is expected to memorize and perform over 646 unique silent precision exhibition drill without any voice command. The purpose of this drill is to exemplify the discipline, professionalism, mental and physical alertness of individual members and their collective performance. Members of the silent drill team will shortly form a double file to carry out arms drill. They are changing arms. And the assault formation they'll soon be breaking into slow time. And march to commemorate the fallen heroes. The Squad 64 is simulating the compliment and respect to the fallen heroes of the Nigerian Air Force and the armed forces of Nigeria at large. This is indeed a very worthwhile tribute, considering the supreme price that members of the Nigerian Armed Forces pay from time to time in the course of their service to fatherland. The squad has just finished paying tributes to the fallen heroes. They will be dissolving the formation again, breaking in style to enable them carry out yet another spectacular display. There, and there. Round of applause for the squad 64. They are not done yet. Please watch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there they go on their knees, forming the acronym NAF at 55. This is better appreciated from an aerial view. May we give them another round of applause, please.
1, 2.
The team is now closing up in style to enable them pay compliments to the reviewing officer, who may acknowledge the compliments from his seat. And that's the compliment to the reviewing officer and special guest of honor. And they are saying, "Thank you, Your Excellency, for honoring our invitation." Your Excellency, the silent drill squad is now forming the sunflower, which by routine character, it blossoms in the morning and shrinks at sunset. The squad chooses this wonderful formation as a way of saying to our reviewing officer and special guests, welcome as you are here with us. And when you go, farewell. Judging by the harmony, expression of oneness, you would agree with me that these gentlemen have worked real hard to showcase the excellence the Nigerian Air Force is noted for. May we give them another round of applause as they prepare to rejoin their respective guards. And the Squad 64 have now rejoined their respective guards. Once again, a round of applause for this wonderful display. The special guest of honor and review officer, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next for display is the Canine unit of the Nigerian Air Force, displaying their walking dogs, and we will have special performance by the special forces as well. On parade this morning is a Canine military walking dog equipment, We have a camouflage Ford bus with camouflage military working dogs trailer used for operational deployment of dogs. The trailer is well fitted with air conditioner for the comfort and well-being of the military working dogs and has a capacity to carry 8 special operation dogs, while the second in blue color, that is the NAF color, can carry or accommodate 6 military working dogs for internal deployment. Matching behind the equipment are 17 military working dog team, which are made up of 11 Malinois, made up of explosive, narcotic, and special operations dogs. The military working dogs are Belgian Malinois, German Shepherd, and Labrador Retriever breeds. The special breeds of the military working dogs have been trained to work in operation and non-operation areas. As you can see, the handlers and the military working dogs are marching as a team. The parade at this moment is commanded by Flight Sergeant Habu Monde. In a short while, we will be witnessing individual display and capability of some of the Nigerian Air Force military working dogs. We have 2 dogs and 2 handlers right in front of us. First is aircraft woman ACW Posh and her handler, Lance Corporal Shaibu Kabiru. They'll be working as a team. Also, we have ACM, that's aircraft man Eugene Godwin, and his special operations dog, ACM Sean. Now, the dogs and their handlers are carrying out some maneuvers, some movements. From the right, you can see ACM Sean crisscrossing the legs of the handler. And on the other side, ACM Shaibu with ACW Posh. You can see that Posh is crawling side by side a handler. This is to give a stilt movement against the sight of any adversary. Let's put our hands together once again for this wonderful display. Coming in now, we have boxes, otherwise known as protocol. And the next display is explosive detection search. And coming in to do this is ACM Blackie, one of the working dogs, and the handler is ACM Odi John. Now, ACM Blackie is a Labrador Retriever special breed. And of course, it is trained to detect explosive devices. And in one of the protocols, there is an explosive device. Watch out what Blackie will do. And of course, once Blackie detects the explosive, he will sit down. And a round of applause for ACM Blackie. The box will be swapped now. We want to be sure that this dog is really trained to do what is expected of him. And here comes Blackie again. His name's, and is it there? And he sits. Oh, a round of applause for Blackie. And next, and coming in, is one of the narcotic detection trained dogs, and her name is ACW Posh. The handler is Lance Corporal Shaibu Kabiru. SCW Porsche is going in search of narcotic, and when she finds one, she'll back. Aha, there goes Porsche backing. A round of applause for Porsche. The protocol will be swapped again for us to be sure that Porsche indeed knows what she does. And go. Porsche goes. And she continues her search. She continues her search. And she backs. A round of applause for Porsche. And here she goes for a wonderful reward by her handler. That brings us to the end of this phase of display. I now hand you over to Squadron Leader Reginald Obiabasi for the continuation of commentary. Reginald.
Thank you very much, sir. The reviewing officer, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, marching gallantly on parade from the far left-hand side of the parade ground are members of Nigerian Air Force of Special Forces coming for a combat display. They are the offensive arm of the Nigerian Air Force Regiment. The Nigerian Air Force Special Forces are uniquely identified by their maroon berets and are called Panthers, which symbolizes courage, valor, strength, perseverance, adaptability, swiftness, and teamwork. The Panthers of the Nigerian Air Force is a mixed breed of training and experience, having been trained in Belarus, Pakistan, as well as in country. They have also participated in operations like the African-led International Support Mission in Mali, Operation Lafia Dole in Northeast, and Operation Sharandaji in Northwest. In company of the Panthers are 2 Marauder vehicles and 6 dogs and handlers from the Canine unit. The Marauder vehicles is a South African-made light tactical multifunctional protected armor personnel carrier recently added to the Nigerian Air Force arsenal. As you can see, the display illustrates the combined effort of the integration of Canine unit with Special Forces. On parade, we have 6 explosives and 2 special operation dogs with their handlers. The explosive dogs will have a contact with a suspect and will assault that suspect, as you can see now. And then the OA police will go and arrest that person for more interrogation. As this is going on, the Panthers are changing direction depending on the angle or direction of hostility. It could be left, right, or back as they prove their agility, swiftness, finesse. As here, we can see it done. The dog is going for another assault. Another suspect is being caught by the dog. And he will be arrested. While the Panthers are doing their maneuvering, they will also engage in jam drill, which will help them to change their magazine in case there's any stoppage. The Panthers will now have a Panther stand position as a display of compliment and to show off their strength and endurance while undertaking some push-up. Panthers are embodiment of warrior spirit. They are tough, resilient, highly motivated, and an aggressive bunch when in contact with adversary or challenges. The reviewing officer, distinguished invited guests, under the watch of Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar as the Chief of the Air Staff, the Nigerian Air Force Regiment has undergone a far-reaching upgrade and reorganization in order to tackle the emerging security challenges in the country. The reviewing officer, sir, please permit me to reveal that the name Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar in the Nigerian Air Force is synonymous to human capacity building and infrastructural development. He is also raising young millionaires among the youths in the base through the base youth empowerment through agriculture. An agricultural empowerment program he instituted in all the Nigerian Air Force bases. As the Panthers are about to march out, may we please give them a round of applause. Distinguished invited guests, according to the Chief of Air Staff, in our race to add value, there is no finishing line. On this note, may I now hand over to Group Captain Apiak for the fly pass and area display. Group Captain Apiak.
Thank you, Squadron Leader Obiobasi. Your Excellencies, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly and most heartily welcome you to the area display segment of today's occasion. This segment will be in two parts. First, the various platforms that make up an abridged version of the Nigerian Air Force Order of Battle will fly past, and thereafter, a brief area display by the Alpha Jet, known as the Eagle. The area display is the highlight of today's ceremony, and it showcases the routine operations of the Nigerian Air Force every other day, in peacetime and in wartime, acting singly or in unison with surface forces in joint operations. The maneuvers you will be privileged to watch this morning will include coordinated tactical techniques and displays carried out by some of the finest and well-trained and dedicated Nigerian Air Force pilots. These maneuvers, though daring, are not stunts, but a refinement of the basic and tactical flying skills taught to pilots, but perfected by hours of training, practice, and total dedication to duty by the air crews and pilots who man these platforms. Permit me to inform our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, that the fly past this afternoon will be in 6 waves. The first 2 waves will be a fly past of the light utility helicopters, followed by the attack helicopters. Thereafter, 2 waves of light trainer aircraft will fly past before the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, as well as the light trainer platforms, will fly past. Next will be the fast jet combat and trainer aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force inventory. Your Excellencies, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I be quick to state here that the fly past for today's ceremony is made possible under the auspices of the current leadership in the Nigerian Air Force, headed by Air Marshal S.B. Abubakar, DFS, with the strong support of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federation of Nigeria. Some of these maneuvers are part of the daily routines, but highly dangerous maneuvers carried out by the Nigerian Air Force personnel in the ongoing operations against terrorists, bandits, and a host of other people in the Northeast, Northwest, South-South, but to mention a few. While the noise levels will become a bit high, please watch and enjoy today's display of awesome area ability of the Nigerian Air Force to decisively change the outcome of a battle. Your Excellencies, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the platforms that will be flying past today are the Falcon Formation, which is a combination of the light helicopters, the Skyhawk Formation, which is a combination of the attack helicopters in the Nigerian Air Force, the Rainbow Formation, which is a combination of the Super Mushak aircraft and the Diamond 40 aircraft, the Sentinel Formation, comprising the ATR-42, the Donia 228, and the King Air 350, as well as the Thunder Formation, which is a combination of the attack and trainer jets in the Nigerian Air Force. The Falcon Formation, which comprises the Ec135 Helicopter and the Bell 412 Helicopter, were inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2017 under the auspices of the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force, headed by Air Marshal S.B. Abubakar, DFS, with the strong support of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and distinguished senators and honorable representatives of the National Assembly. Additionally, the attack helicopter was also inducted during the present regime. Your Excellency, may I divert your attention to the right of the parade ground as we herald the fly past for today's ceremony. Leading the fly past is the Ec135 Helicopter, accompanied by the Bell 412 Helicopter, as earlier mentioned, inducted under the present political leadership. Please, a round of applause as our aircraft begin the fly past. The Ec135 Helicopter was inducted in 2017, and it was meant for light liaison. However, with indigenous technology, it has been converted to form an attack helicopter. Closely following the formation is the Skyhawk Formation. The Skyhawk Formation is a combination of the attack helicopters in the Nigerian Air Force. The Mi-35M helicopter, inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2017, is used for close air support, troop insertion, and extraction. It was inducted under the auspices of the present leadership of the Nigerian Air Force with the strong support of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course, distinguished senators and honorable representatives of the National Assembly. The next formation that will be flying past will be the Rainbow Formation. The Rainbow Formation is a combination of the Super Mushak aircraft and the Diamond 40 aircraft. The Super Mushak aircraft was also inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2017. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, the Super Mushak aircraft. This aircraft is used for light training in the Nigerian Air Force, and it is used to train potential fighter pilots. It is capable of performing all aerobatic maneuvers that fighter pilots can perform. This aircraft was also inducted under the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force with the strong support of His Excellency. Our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Super Mushak. A round of applause, please. Following the Super Mushak is the Diamond 40 aircraft. The Diamond 40 aircraft, flying towards the display zone is a light trainer aircraft used for primary flying in the Nigerian Air Force. The aircraft is domiciled at the 401 Flying Training School. It is a versatile trainer used for training pilots that will fill up potential slots in the Nigerian Air Force. Your Excellency, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Diamond aircraft. Following the Diamond aircraft is the Sentinel Formation. The Sentinel Formation is a combination of the ATR-42 aircraft, which is used for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, the Donia 228 aircraft, used for light liaison transport and VIP movement, as well as the King Air 350I, which is also used for light liaison and troop transportation. The ATR-42 aircraft is a twin-turbo short-haul regional airliner used for maritime patrol in the Nigerian Air Force. However, with the increase in insurgency in the Nigerian Air Force, the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force converted this aircraft for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, especially in the Northeast. It is used as a command post, as an air command post, and for directing troops on the ground. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, flying gracefully across the parade ground is the Sentinel Formation. Our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the Sentinel Formation. Following the Sentinel Formation is the Thunder Formation. The Thunder Formation is a combination of the L-39ZA Albatross aircraft and the Alpha Jet aircraft. The L-39ZA aircraft, hitherto grounded due to unserviceability status, has been reactivated and brought to fly in these operations under the auspices of the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force. The aircraft was inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2017. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, a round of applause for the Thunder Formation, flying gracefully across the parade ground. The Thunder Formation is a combination of the L-39ZA aircraft and the three other Alpha Jets that accompanied this formation in a diamond formation. Having seen a fly past of all the aircraft in the Nigerian Air Force Order of Battle, the Eagles, the Alpha Jet will now return back for some maneuvers in a three-ship formation. The profiles to be flown in this three-ship formation are a Lazy 8 formation in Vic. Thereafter, they'll reform back into close trail. They'll fly in echelon and prepare for a bomb burst. Our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, formation flying is a disciplined flight of 2 or more aircraft under the command of a flight leader. Military pilots use formation flying for mutual defense and concentration of firepower. Formation flying is performed during occasions like this to show how disciplined our pilots perform in the air. It is also a program to showcase disciplined approach and overall combat efficiency of the Nigerian Air Force. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Alpha Jet in Vic formation. A round of applause for the pilots, please. Having flown past in Vic formation, they will now reform in close trail in preparation to complete the Lazy 8 maneuver. Your Excellency, the finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots in close trail. A round of applause for the Nigerian Air Force pilots knowing what they do, how to do best. Completing this maneuver, they will pull up a lot of Gs and pull into the skies, while they now reconfigure to perform the next maneuver. Your Excellencies, as distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, these pilots fly with pride, precision, and professionalism. While the NAF has ruled the skies of West Africa for over 55 years, the last 3 years has been wonderful. The pilots have embodied pride, precision, and professionalism. This is possible because of the vision of the current Chief of the Air Staff, which is to reposition the Nigerian Air Force to a highly professional and disciplined force. Additionally, this has been made possible by the current leadership of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellencies, the finest of the pilots of the Nigerian Air Force are reforming back to VIC formation in preparation for a bomb burst. The bomb burst signifies victory. The bomb burst signifies victory. It signifies yet another time where the Nigerian Air Force showcases what it is made up of. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, stand by for the bomb burst. The best of the Nigerian Air Force in bomb burst. A round of applause for the Nigerian Air Force pilots. Haven't done the bomb burst, Your Excellency, another round of applause. Yes. Another round of applause for the finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. Haven't done the bomb burst. The lead in the Eagle will now return back for a solo aerobatic maneuver. The maneuvers to be conducted will be the Cuban 8 maneuver, an invited flight, and the aileron roll. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the solo maneuver, the finest of the pilots in the Nigerian Air Force, flying through to begin the Cuban maneuver. He takes a leap and he goes into the stratosphere. A round of applause, please. He takes a loop and he turns, completing the Cuban maneuver. Your Excellency. Yeah, he has turned, he has recovered. A round of applause, please. Coming down fine. He's now pulling up. Yeah. He's now picking up height to complete the second leaf of the maneuver. Going high, going high, going high. And now completing it. A round of applause. A round of applause, please, for the finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. Taking it. Coming down gracefully, gracefully. And completing the Cuban 8 maneuver. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Having completed the Cuban 8 maneuver, the pilots will now reconfigure and set up for an invited flight. The invited flight is basically flying the aircraft upside down. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Nigerian Air Force pilots are well trained and dedicated. They will fly this aircraft upside down for 30 seconds. The pilot reconfigures to begin. He's inverted. A round of applause. He's flying this aircraft upside down. The finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. A round of applause, please. Having completed the invited flight, Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, The solo maneuvers will be concluding with the multiple aileron roll. The multiple aileron roll, also known as the victory roll, is an aerobatic maneuver in which the aircraft turns full 360 on the axis in which it is flying. The aileron roll is executed through the application of full aileron in one. Your Excellency, the aileron roll, also known as the victory roll, bidding farewell to His Excellency and our distinguished invited guests. A round of applause, please, for the finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. Now we shall have the Skyhawk come and bid His Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, farewell by throwing the chaff of victory. The chaff of victory is a sign to note and to state that the aircraft is capable of defending itself. Your Excellency, our distinguished invited guests, the Skyhawk. As earlier announced, the Skyhawk was inducted into the Nigerian Air Force in 2017 under the auspices of the current leadership of the Nigerian Air Force with the support of His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Your Excellency, the chaff, a round of applause, please. The chaff, a round of applause. This helicopter is capable of defending himself. And of course, it is the chaff of victory. A round of applause for the finest of the Nigerian Air Force pilots. That's awesome. Wow. I will now hand over to Group Captain E.R. Bassi to continue with the commentaries. Group Captain E.R. Bassi, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Group Captain Dan Apeyak. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of discipline to carry out the wonderful feats these Nigerian Air Force pilots have carried out this afternoon. I believe they deserve another rousing round of applause. As we say in the Air Force, we are always willing, able, and ready to discharge our duties in the air and in support of surface forces. Any moment from now, the parade commander, the guard commanders and sub-guard commanders will be resuming their position in front of their various guards for the continuation of proceedings. Next on the program is the remarks by the chief host of today's ceremony. It is my honor and privilege to respectfully invite the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Distinguished Flying Star, for his remarks. The Chief of the Air Staff.
The special guest of honor, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, ably and appropriately represented by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, SAN, GCON, the representative of the Senate President, the representative of the Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, distinguished Chairman, Senate Committee on Air Force, Senator Duro Samuel Fashei, the Honorable Chairman, House Committee on Air Force, Honorable Samson Oku, the Honorable Minister of Defense, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, representative of Chief of Naval Staff, and the Acting Inspector General of Police, former Chiefs of Defense and Air Staff here present, Chief Executive Officers of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, Your Royal Highnesses, the Oni of Ife, the Emir of Bauchi, the Ovie Omiagwa, senior military and paramilitary officers, both serving and retired, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the National President, Nigerian Air Force Officers' Wives Association, and our distinguished members, distinguished invited guests, esteemed friends and partners of the Nigerian Air Force, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and a privilege for me to welcome the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is ably represented by His Excellency the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, and other very distinguished guests to the Nigerian Air Force Day 2019 celebration, marking the 55th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force. Occasions such as these presents an opportunity for us to reflect, take stock, and chart new ways of moving the service forward. The 55 years of the existence of the Nigerian Air Force have been eventful, and during this period, the Nigerian Air Force has confronted with a number of challenges. However, we are able to surmount these challenges and progressively maturing in the process. The Nigerian Air Force has also grown in size, spread, and equipment holding, all in a bid to fulfill its statutory obligations of protecting and defending the territorial integrity of Nigeria from the air. The growth of Nigerian Air Force since the inception of the service has been particularly outstanding. From having only a few trainers and transport aircraft in the early years of the service, the Nigerian Air Force currently has an impressive orbit comprising diverse aircraft with capabilities to perform a wide spectrum of missions. We have also continued to build upon the foundations laid by our noble predecessors by reactivating several aircraft that were hitherto grounded, acquired and inducted various platforms into the service, and increased the strength of the service personnel by 7,500 airmen, airwomen, and 400 officers. Additionally, 2 new commands and 2 staff branches were established to meet the evolving security challenges we are faced with. The Nigerian Air Force has also established additional units spread across the nation in response to evolving security challenges. Construction and upgrading of existing schools, hospitals, and other infrastructure, including 2 reference hospitals to attend to the welfare of personnel and their families. Furthermore, the gap between force protection and force projection capabilities have been substantially breached with the training of more than 1,000 special forces. These personnel have been deployed as part of the base defense forces to deal with the threat to our bases and to support internal security operations in various troubled spots across the country, especially the Northeast, the North Central, and the Northwest. The current status of the Nigerian Air Force is a testament to the continued and sustained efforts by our predecessors since the establishment of the service in 1964. In paraphrasing the famous scientist, Sir Isaac Newton, and I quote, "We have attained these great heights today It is because we have stood on the shoulders of giants, unquote. I therefore use this opportunity to appreciate the efforts of our retired service chiefs and other personnel, many of whom are still contributing their vast experience and expertise to the progress and success of the Nigerian Air Force, and to assure you that we will not rest on our oars as we strive to attain greater heights and success in our service to our nation. The continued commitment of Mr. President to improving the capacity and equipment holding of the Nigerian Air Force is clearly exemplified by the procurement of a fleet of A-29 Super Tucano aircraft from the United States of America, which are expected to be delivered in the last quarter of 2020. This is besides the acquisition of several other aircraft since the inception of this administration. At the end of this ceremonial parade today, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ably represented by the Vice President, will be unveiling 2 units of Augusta 109 power helicopter gunships, which were recently delivered to the Nigerian Air Force. The introduction of these helicopters and other additional helicopters expected to arrive in the next few months will significantly boost the effectiveness and combat capability of the Nigerian Air Force, especially in the counterinsurgency operations in the Northeast, anti-banditry and anti-kidnapping operations in the Northwest and the North Central. We remain eternally grateful to Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who has continued to show uncommon commitment to meeting the needs of the Nigerian Air Force. I want to use this opportunity to request that His Excellency the Vice President conveys our appreciation to His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari for the continuous support of his administration, of which you, sir, are a key part of. We are also appreciative of the support of members of both houses of the National Assembly, the Honorable Minister of Defense, the service chiefs and other officials of government who are always standing by us to ensure that we receive the necessary support and resources to carry out our constitutional mandate. At this juncture, let me, on behalf of the officers, airmen, airwomen, and civilian staff of the Nigerian Air Force, renew our commitment to supporting the vision of Mr. President towards ensuring a secured, united, and prosperous Nigeria. I would also like to once again welcome our special guest of honor, President Muhammadu Buhari, ably represented by His Excellency the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, as well as all our esteemed guests for honoring us with your presence and celebrating our dear Nigerian Air Force with us. Thank you and God bless.
That was the address by the Chief Host, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar. Any moment from now, the parade will advance in review order in preparation for the remarks by the special guest of honor. Distinguished guests, the advance in review order. A round of applause for this display of unity. Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the second segment of today's program is about to conclude. Having watched the ceremonial parade, which is still ongoing, and the aerial display carried out by the operations unit of the Nigerian Air Force, the third segment will be the induction of two newly acquired Augusta 109 helicopters, which are gracefully positioned to the left end of the commentary box. These platforms is acquired to add some punch to the ongoing operations against the Boko Haram terrorists, as well as combat all other forms of security vices in Nigeria. May I now most respectfully request the Chief of the Air Staff to kindly invite His Excellency, the President, Commander-in-Chief, Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, ably represented by the Vice President, His Excellency, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, SAN, to deliver his address.
The representative of the Senate President, Major General Maina, the Chairman, Senate Committee on the Air Force, Senator Duro Samuel, the Chairman, House Committee on the Air Force, the Honorable Ajah Samson, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Mansour Mohammed Dan Ali, Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Gabriel Onishaki, our host, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Yusuf Tukur Buratai, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and representatives of service chiefs present, former service chiefs, the President of NAFOA, Hajia Hafsat Abubakar, very senior military and paramilitary officers, both serving and retired, royal fathers present, especially the Oni of Ife, Obade Eniton Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, the Emir of Bauchi, His Royal Highness Dr. Suleiman Adamu, and the Ovie of Umiagawa Kingdom, His Royal Highness Air Vice Marshal Loki Arante, retired. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here in your midst today to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the Nigerian Air Force, established in 1964 by an act of the Nigerian Parliament to preserve Nigeria's territorial integrity through the employment and the projection of air power. I'm proud to say that the Air Force has, in the years since its establishment, proved its mettle both locally and internationally. I must say that I'm impressed by the displays put up by the officers, airmen and airwomen of the Nigeria Air Force at this ceremonial parade, in the March Past and parade, and especially the aerial exhibition. These displays aptly demonstrate the Nigeria Air Force's commitment to achieving the high standards of operational readiness. Indeed, our Air Force is willing, able, and ready. I'd like to commend the Chief of Air Staff and his team for the commendable leadership that they have shown in providing for the Nigerian Air Force. As the air arm of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, the Air Force has shown that despite its challenges in terms of quality of manpower, creativity, and capability, we stand shoulder to shoulder with any air force in the world. As a country, we're particularly proud that in less than 4 years, we've been able to revitalize our armed forces for the full restoration of Nigeria's territorial integrity. As you may recall, the President, in his inaugural speech, promised to put an end to the Boko Haram insurgency. And in fulfilling the promise, as Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, he prioritized the restoration of professionalism in the military to enable them effectively discharge their responsibilities. Substantial investments have been made in acquiring new platforms and other support equipment for the military and other security agencies, as well as in reactivating and upgrading existing platforms in the last 4 years. In this last 4 years, the Air Force has acquired and reactivated several aircrafts, which are now helping to make a difference in the various theaters of engagement across the country. In addition, the procurement process for military hardware has been reviewed to remove inefficiency. In 2018, through a transparent, first-of-its-kind government-to-government deal with the United States of America, we concluded the procurement process for the delivery in 2020 of a dozen Super Tucano aircrafts, which will no doubt be game-changing for Nigeria's air capabilities. I must also highlight the renewed focus on research, innovation, and self-reliance by the Chief of Air Staff. This is far-sighted. It's also an important component of the development of a military-industrial complex for Nigeria and the armed forces in general. I'm pleased to note that we're seeing an Air Force that is increasingly confident about its abilities and its capacity to innovate and to deploy locally developed technology. This is manifesting in various ways, from the locally developed operational unmanned area vehicle, the Saigumi, which the President formally inducted into service in February 2018, to the collaborative work being done at the Air Force Research and Development Center in Kaduna to produce the first ever made in Nigeria aircraft. Of course, this must be situated within the general context of a greater emphasis on local capacity building by the Nigerian Armed Forces, with developments like the establishment of the Nigeria Army University and the revitalization of our Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, serving as testaments to this renewed emphasis. Once again, I salute the resolve of our armed forces and the invaluable contributions of other security agencies in fully containing the security challenges in some parts of the nation, especially the contributions of the Nigeria Air Force in addressing the security challenges of armed banditry, cattle rustling, and kidnapping in the Northwest and in the North Central. Your efforts in conjunction with other security agents and especially other members of the armed forces have started to yield positive results. As we provide new platforms for you to carry out your constitutional roles, Nigerians expect nothing short of exceptional service delivery from you. I therefore charge you to continue to work to earn the confidence of the nation and the respect of the international community in terms of protecting rights and property and degrading and neutralizing all existing and emerging national security threats. I'd like to urge greater cooperation and mutual trust between the various arms of our security agencies, even while maintaining the healthy spirit of competition that underpins innovation and increased efficiency. The Nigerian Air Force should also strive to expand its collaborations outside of the military. By this I mean collaborations with academia, with think tanks, with civilian technology hubs, and independent innovators and creators. I'm aware from discussions with the Chief of Air Staff that already collaboration with our universities and research institutes is already taking place. There's a great amount of potential waiting to be unleashed from these partnerships. Earlier this year, young interns working at the federal government-supported Northeast Humanitarian Innovation Hub, YOLA, hit an important milestone in their work. They developed, through 3D printing, a fitting prosthetic arm for a former policeman who lost his arm while in service. This was an exceptional innovation because all of the materials used to develop the prosthetic